The Christian faith came to Scotland about 1800 years ago. But what has Christianity ever done for Scotland? In this series, we seek to highlight the people and movements that transformed our Scottish culture.
Deep in the midst of time, fire formed Edinburgh, and 7 hills arose. The early people worshipped many gods, the gods of wood and stone, the moon, the stars, and the sun god, Lo. They believed there were spirits in the streams, the wells, and the lochs, and often they would give them votive offerings of swords, cauldrons, or things of value to them, believing that this would help ensure good harvests, childbirths, and blessings. Their religious leaders were the Druids, who were regarded as the wise men with special magical powers, and their temples were the forest groves and nature. Julius Caesar reported that the Celtic tribes would make a wicker basket in the shape of a man, fill it with human victims, which would be offered by fire to the gods. They believed that the spirit resided in the human skull, so they would impale them on poles outside their homes or even hang them inside. Into this culture, the first Christians came. We don't know who they were, but Tertullian tells us that they were in the remote regions of the Britons, which were inaccessible to the Romans. This would infer that Christians were north of Edinburgh by about 200 AD. The first we know about by name, though, was a man called Ninian, a Briton in southern Scotland. He was mentored by Martin of Tours in France and came back home in AD 397, where he built a white church of stone at Whithorn. This became his base to teach the people, train up missionaries, and go out to reach the Britons and southern Picts. Churches also arose in the area of Outclud or Dumbarton, where Patrick the Briton grew up. At the age of 16, he and his sisters were captured by Irish slave traders and managed to escape back home, but went back to Ireland again years later as a bishop in AD 432. His mission work was so effective there that many thousands of Irish or Scots were converted, and the stronghold of the Druids was broken. From the Irish came missionaries to Scotland, with one of them being their most famous, Columba. Columba and his team of monks arrived in 563 and settled on Iona on the west coast of this nation, which became their mission base to reach the northern Picts in the Highlands. These early missionaries were famous for their simple and practical holiness, their praying and their bold preaching, which was often accompanied by extraordinary miracles. On one occasion, Columba was called by God to preach on the other side of Loch Ness near Inverness. As he prepared to sail across with his team, he was met by Breocan, a chief druid, feared throughout the land. Breocan called out to him, "You shall not pass to the other side, for we shall call upon our gods, and a strong wind and a thick mist will come against you." So they called upon their gods, and the wind and the mist came against Columba. But he calmly stepped into the loch and asked God to send a favourable wind to blow away the mist. And this happened, so his team set sail and crossed to the other side, much to the fury of Breocan, whose power base had been challenged. Out of this same order came Cuthbert in the 7th century. He was appointed as bishop for the whole region from Lindisfarne in Northumbria right up to Edinburgh. The earliest known church in Edinburgh was traditionally consecrated by him during one of his preaching trips here. Today, the 19th century building of St Cuthbert's below the castle is believed to be on the site of this 7th century church. The early missionaries had a holistic Christian worldview. Typically, they would set up a church, a school, a simple hospital, and a scriptorium where they would copy up by hand their precious gospels to equip teams for spreading their message. But the early church in Scotland suffered many setbacks and massacres over a period of 500 years from the pagans. First, they were decimated by the Romans, then by the Picts and Scots, then by the Angles, and finally by the Vikings. Despite this, Christianity became rooted in Scotland, bringing with it a message that would transform our nation. In this short series, we will discover in what ways the Christians shaped our culture. This series is called What Has Christianity Ever Done for Scotland? But it could easily have been called What Has the Scottish Church Ever Done for the World? See you next time. We hope you have been inspired and challenged by this video. Christian Heritage Edinburgh is a charity and ministry, and we seek to bring out the amazing story of the Christian faith in this city and nation, which has had such an impact on the world. If you have any questions, please contact us on this email address: info@christianheritageedinburgh.org.uk, or if you would like to find out more about how you can know Christ personally, then click the link in the credits or go to www.christianheritageedinburgh.org.uk.